Mic check.
Yes, sir. Good evening. I can hear you.
Yeah, but I'm getting a weird feedback. One
Can you hear me, sir?
All right. Good. Yes, I'm better. Yeah, man, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
All right, lovely. All right. So, welcome to everybody else. Anybody knows? Am I early? No, I'm not early. It's 10 minutes after the time.
I'll send a message.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Okay. Um, hmm, hmm, okay. Okay. All right, guys. So, um, we are we are pretty much at the end of the tunnel for DDM. Um, Before we get going, some little announcements. We do have according to the some announcements that went out. So the semester has been extended for 2 weeks. Did you guys get that memo? Anybody? No? Nobody here, not here?
I can answer, sir. So is it that we'll have more DDM classes?
Well, the good thing is that we have kind of I don't want to we have kind of short. I think that we have made the rest of the classes post Melissa um a bit more manageable within the original time frame because what we did was modify the final project, which we'll talk about today. So we are just going to meet. So with the new announcement, we would have two more classes after this, but I think we're just going to meet again. So next week will be our final class. That's what we'll do. Um, and it will possibly be like a short class. Um, and then we won't have classes after that. So then let me look on the date. So today is the 22nd. So that would that would mark next week as the final class. Officially, the new date for classes to end. Let me tell you. Right. So December. No, no. That one? Right. The original date was the 28th of November. And vision. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So it's going to December 3. Right. So the new date for classes ending officially will be December 3. Right. So it's one more week. Not really 2 more weeks. So after this class, we're going to meet again next week. And that will be our final class. All right. All right. But I'm only telling this to 5 people. Was there a
So
crit?
I told him in the group.
Right. Was there a crit or some major thing that
We'll be having quit on the second.
and the second? Oh yeah, man. Well, that's far from now, man. The splash radius is supposed to be very small. Um, all right. But nevertheless, we're gonna just move ahead, right? So our main objectives today is that we're going to be introduced to the final project, and I'm gonna like hopefully get everybody going down the road for doing the final project, so helping you out with setting things up. So in terms of a topic, we're going to be looking on websites, or as your outline would say, hypermedia, right? AKA things that have to do with websites, social media, some kind of web presence, that kind of thing. So we'll be talking about it as it relates to it being a presentation tool for architecture, right? All right. Um, All right, I see some more persons coming in. Cool. Okay, so before we jump into that, um, so I was doing some marking, and I mean, I see a couple persons sending messages and say, okay, they're getting around to the assignments. You know, some persons express that they have some amount of delays, which is understandable. Um, so we're pretty much at the end of the semester. And let me bring up this thing here. Right. So we have two major assignments that is happening now, right? We have we have one assignment that should be done by now, and that is going to be the one that we did 3 weeks ago, right before Melissa, for assignment 1, right? So that is going to be the model. And I see maybe about 15%, 10% of the class that finished already. So I just want to say that the two things that will let you pass DDM is the assignment and the final project, right? Those two things alone are 65%, right? Cool. So there is no passing DDM without doing those two things, right? The final project is 40%, right? So now we do have some amount of leniencies for submitting the work. So there will be no reduction of marks for submitting the work late, because we scrapped that due to the whole hurricane. However, pretty much all the grades have to be in before the end of the year. Everybody got that? And I am not making that rule. The university is making that rule, right? They have already told us when is the final point for us to be inserting grades. So the best way I can say that is that everything need to be in before. And that don't mean December 31st, because some of those dates are a holiday, right? So I would say that the ultimate deadline for handing in the work is going to end up being before it hits Christmas Eve. I want to say before holiday hits. And the reason I say that is, and it's not just for me alone, like think about also your lecturers. Some people are traveling, some people will be around, some people won't be around. So even if the university say, boy, your grades can go in the day after Boxing Day, the likelihood of somebody being able to sit down and mark during the holiday is going to be very low. I'm going to speak for myself, very low. So, based on the new, usually with a regular timeline, you would have had to submit your work before, right? But realistically, when I look on the dates that the university is asking for the grades, you pretty much guys want to make sure that the lecturers have your grade before, as in the holiday period. All right. So by December 23 is perhaps maybe the latest that you can be submitting grades. if some of your lecturers is willing to market in that region. I think some of them probably are, depending on how, because how everything is. But if you let it go in the holiday, I know it's going to be very sticky, right? Um, for those of you anybody here doing exams? I see your hand, Paul. I'm coming to you. Nobody here not doing any exams? No? Yes? No? No? Everybody here is pretty much second year. So we're not doing any exams for first year. Well, just in case, if anybody is doing exams, the new period for examinations is December 8th to the 19th. Right? So usually what happens is that after exams is done, that's when the university say, all right, you have 2 days to mark and give in the grades, and then there's a cutoff. And then pretty much if you never hand in your work when exams are marked, then you wouldn't be progress. That's the usual operation. So based on the fact that the university pushed back exam period to the 19th, I can only imagine that they will probably give the lecturers the 20, 21, 22. You see what I'm saying, guys? So maybe 22, 23, if I'm pushing it, give them 4 days to submit the grades. That's why I'm saying that. For those of us who are having some trouble to submit the grades, you don't want to submit later than those dates, based on the new dates I'm getting from the university. Or you can just submit it as soon as you can. Powell, question?
Sir, I was asking, is this only for the assignments or is it for like exercise and everything, like all of the DM assignments overall?
Yeah, man, everything. But remember, so we're not collecting exercises anymore. So don't worry about that. We're only talking about.
Sir, what do you mean?
What was that?
Sir, I asked, what do you mean? Like not collecting it permanently, or we're not focusing on that right now?
Okay, even if. So it is not collecting the exercises, right? Even if we were collecting the exercises, I would tell you to not focus on it. Why is that? The studio-based project that's supposed to be done already, right? That is 15%. The assignment is 25%. And then the final project is 40%. So I'm saying that to say that even if you did not do the assignment, the exercises, now is not the time to do it any at all. And besides that, I already marked them already. Where you want to be putting your focus is the assignment and the final project, those two. All right? Because we pretty much have about 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3.5 to 4 weeks, right? For us to get the grades in. So I'm giving you this information, not just for my module alone, but generally with all the CSA. Everybody is operating from the same timetable, right? Examination periods are pushed back to the 19th, and usually you have a couple of days after the 19th to upload your grades to the system so that you will see your grades on the portal. And then UTech eventually has a cutoff for doing that. So that's why I say I put it to like the 23rd for like the last hope for submitting your work. At least I'm going to say that for DDM. Or maybe the other lecturers, maybe they have a different arrangement. All right, Levy, question?
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
No, man.
Have you marked the InDesign one as yet? The student-based one?
Probably like 80%. But I haven't
Have you
posted
marked mine?
Levy. I don't think so.
Okay, so
Because it's in recent
I'll,
memory.
I'm going to change the wireframe, but the two main ones are completed.
Yeah, man. Those, okay. No, but well, okay. All right. All right, guys. So that is it in terms of announcements, right? So we know what is the ultimate last day for handing in work. We know that we're only collecting we're collecting the three main assignments, the portfolio assignment one and the final project, which we're about to know about now. Right? And we know that the ultimate cutoff is going to be the 23rd, right? Cool. All right. Oh, and we know that 22nd. How much of us is here? Well, not much people is here. Well, let's see if we can get through everything that we need to get through today. Because I don't think we need to, if we get through everything we're getting through today, we wouldn't need to have a next class. So with that said, let's jump on the train and talk a little bit about presentations, right? Okie dokie. All right. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Okay, cool. You guys can see my screen and everything?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Cool. All right, so we're pretty much at the end of this module, right? And we've learned a couple of stuff, how to use a couple tools. Ultimately, the field of architecture is all about presentation, presenting your work. And presentation comes in different forms, right? I want to we can think of two types of presentation in two categories, digital and analog. And CSA kind of does both, right? Of course, this module and all the modules that I teach focuses on digital presentation, but I want to touch a little bit on analog presentation just as we go along, right? And I took a little clip here, which is pretty good. So analog is usually using, I would say, yes, you use body language, but you can still use body language and present a digital thing. This is a digital presentation now, but I'm using body language as well. The true thing that really separates or defines analog presentation is the use of some kind of prop. So I remember this presentation here was done some time ago. Where is it? There we go. Oh, hold on a minute. Did I? Oh, okay, good. Open with. There we go.
Need to flavour the milk, okay? There's sugar in everything. I know the ins and outs of those ingredients. It's in everything. Even the milk hasn't escaped the kind of modern day problems. There's our milk, there's our carton. In that is nearly as much sugar as one of your favourite cans of fizzy pop. And they're
So this presentation, the speaker was speaking about the use of sugar in your kids, what your kids eat at school, right? This is for like elementary kids. So he's having a presentation, he's there in person, but he's not using slides. Instead, he's using props, like you can actually see the cup of milk on the table.
Having 2 a day. So let me just show you. We've got one kid here having, 8 tablespoons of sugar a day. There's your week. There's your month. And I've took the liberty of putting in just the 5 years of elementary school sugar just from milk. Now, I don't know about you guys, but judging the circumstances, right, any judge in the whole world would look at the statistics and the evidence and they would find any government of old guilty of child abuse. That's my belief.
Right, guys. So this presentation, right? What do you think? Do you think if it was slides that he was putting up saying, hey, look, this is the amount of sugar that is your kids are taking in every week, every day, every month, versus this kind of analog presentation, would you think it have the same effect? Maybe a very rhetorical question.
No, sir. It wouldn't have the same effect.
Because you can see it, right? You can almost feel it. So give me an example of a prop that we use in CSA, CSA's version of this. When you come up to present your work, what is that alternative for CSA?
Sure.
What's that?
It would be the CAD drawings as opposed to the hand-drawn technical drawings.
Not necessarily,
No.
but good try. Who else
Sir,
want
the
to?
models?
It would be the sheets versus the model.
The model. The sheets are kind of in a middle zone. You know what I mean? Because you use the computer to produce what's on the sheets, or you can use your hand to produce what's on the sheet. But what the audience is interacting with is the imagery on the sheet. Now, Gianna said the model, because the model is like a miniature experience of this thing that you have created that you can see and touch. And I just wanted to bring up this analogy with you, just as one of the reasons why the things that you do. I mean, model making or conceptual model making. One of the reasons why it's so powerful, because we're still humans, we're not robots yet. So we can appreciate things that are tangible. So just like this presentation, seeing a wheelbarrow of sugar dumped in front of you. And this is all the sugar that one child is ingesting for the month. It kind of just gives you a different perspective. And I put this to say, guys, because you guys do presentations every day. Like, think about if you were presenting maybe your final project and maybe the material that you're using is some special stone or some interesting material. How do you think it would impact your presentation if you actually carried a physical thing of maybe you show somebody that, look, this is the stone that I used to create my design or whatever. Notice the texture and you pass around the stone to your audience, to your lecturers or whatever, right? I mean, think about the impact that would have versus if everything was just on paper or on screen, whether hand-drawn or not, right? So the tangibility of your presentation makes a big difference, right? And that is one of the reasons why we use a model. One of the things that hopefully you guys will get to experience with your journey through CSA is going to be 3D printing, right? Because that's something that me and the team is actually working on getting introduced. Because that helps you to bring in this type of presentation where you have tangible things, right? I remember even a couple, even like a year or so ago, I remember having a presentation, and they needed to show what the materials feel like when it is built. This was for, I think it was for an auditorium of some sort. And yes, we had 3D images, we had the Lumion and all, we had nice 3D stuff, but you still couldn't really feel it. And it wasn't until a model was built, and that was actually with a 3D printed model, right? So that is something that we want to introduce to help with this kind of presentation. All right. Ta-da. All right. There we go. Right. So the other thing about the analog presentation is what you're saying. So just like me, I'm having an analog presentation now. So half of the analog presentation is the tools that you carry. It's the equipment, it's the prop, it's the model, it's the wheelbarrow of the sugar. The other half of the analog presentation is you, the person, right? Presenting, right? So you will get a lot of practice in presenting during CSA. There is no escape. If you don't like to go in front of crowds, oh boy. I guess as you guys probably already realized that is our Tuesday for us at CSA, right? Everything is all about presenting. But I want to just remind you of the other thing is that I don't know if you know of those people that are blessed with the gift of the gaff. Anybody ever heard that term already? The gift of the gaff?
No, sir.
No, the gift of the gap. What is the term? I need to Google it.
I think it's a gap, sir. The gift of the
Yeah,
gap.
the gap. Right. What does that mean?
They know how to speak.
Yeah, man. You can make it sound like it makes sense. Anyway, so you have some persons that are good presenters. They can use nice words and nice body language to kind of present your work, and that's good and usually important. But especially in this field, the data matters. Like it's all about the data, guys. Like you cannot even if you have pretty images, you still need the numbers, you know? I know this looks good, but what size is the room, right? Architecture is art and science. So we do need to have a lot of calculations, a lot of numbers, a lot of pragmatic data in whatever we're presenting. And that's something that I don't want us to forget, because in computing, there are a lot of fancy tools that we're going to be using, and we've used some already, and it can make stuff look really good, but you can't always put that tree to hide the fact that you didn't do something every single time. You know what I mean? So it's not just how you speak and your body language and all of that. It is also about the data that you present, right? Now, I want to go over to digital presentations now, and everybody knows about images because, of course, we do stuff with Photoshop and Illustrator, we do plans in CAD and use Revit and all that stuff. So we know about that form of presentation already. So I want to just focus on some others that I think that we don't really use in CSA that much. Ever since even I was in school, it's still all about the images. And I've seen very few people do moving pictures. And moving pictures is such, like, we're used to that. Like animations is not even anything special, right? And I remember when I was in school, like for me, animation was just like, yo, is like, why would I show a stationary image? Because I want to tell more about my design, but this image is only one snapshot. I want to show what happens on the left and I want to show what happens on the right. But I also want to show the top and the bottom and everywhere, and I don't have enough space on my sheet to show so much pictures. So moving pictures, guys, that is another, I would say one of the form of digital presentation that we don't use that much. And almost every 3D program that we're gonna be using coming up soon, next semester and all of that, they will have the ability to produce some kind of video. Now, the trick about this is that for video presentations, you do need to know about, um, you do need to work out the logistics of how you're going to present your video presentation. What do I mean? If you guys have Final Cut and you plan to show some kind of video as a part of your presentation, what does that mean that you need, guys? Who can tell me? What do you need? What are the tools that you
Something,
need to present that?
a projector.
Yeah, some kind of screen. And I think this is one of the main holdbacks for digital presentations is because we have to rely on some kind of technology, right? And that would mean, oh, you need a projector, you need to set up the projector, you need a plug, you need a laptop screen, you need where are you going to put it? And I think because of the logistics, we tend to just not include digital moving images in our like presentations. I mean, maybe you're desperate, you might show your lecture or something on the computer or whatever. But for your presentations going forward, um, I want you guys to consider that. Now, I have an example here. I don't have a picture though. Do I have a picture? I don't know. Those pictures are long gone. But here we go. If you remember when we were talking about sheet layout a couple of weeks ago. Here we go. Uh where are we? Oh, here we are. Right. So we were talking about sheet layout, about presentation and how we put the sheets together. And if you notice, this was one of the examples I showed, and this was my wireframe, right? Now, if I scroll down on the wireframe, let me ask somebody else. Joel, are you here, Joel? Is she here? She's running to the mic. Almost there. No? Finding the unmute. Maybe not. Who else is here? Brianna?
Yes, sir.
No, not Gianna, Brianna.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yeah, man. So what do you notice at the bottom of my wireframe? What do you think I'm
Um,
representing there? I know it's horrible spelling.
like screens,
Exactly.
laptop.
Exactly. So even in the planning phase of my presentation, can remember we talk about when you're putting together a presentation, this is the wireframe layout where you're going to put the site plan and whatever. But as a part of my presentation, I also wanted to have the ability to show more images. And the idea was to have screens here. And what I did is um what I did is I placed these screens on a desk. So there's three paper, it was three 24 by 36. So this is one, this is two, and this is three. And then at the bottom of the 24 by 36s is just I think it was two monitors that I placed there and then a laptop below. So the two screens were here. And I don't think I had planned at this point what this would be on the screen. But what I did, one of them was a walkthrough and the other one was like a panorama. It was just the model slowly turning. That was what it is, just slowly turning so that persons could have an idea of it. Now, this is the final, presentation. And we spoke about this already. You're not seeing the screens here because obviously they were in real life. But I'm just telling you this, guys, that when you're planning out your presentation, there is so much more that you can show, right? And it doesn't have to be animated stuff. It can be a slideshow. It can just be a model slowly turning, like just so you can experience what the model is like, right? And that can be done simply with your laptop. You can just put your laptop there, plop, but your laptop is a part of the presentation. But don't think of it as an afterthought. Think of it as just the type of presentation you're doing. Now, I bring up digital and analog because what I can tell you guys, to have the most complete presentation where all of your ideas can be communicated, you want to have a mixture of analog and digital. So usually a model is required and they put it, you say, okay, you need to have a model, right? But if you think about it, if you have your sheets, you have a physical model, and then you have a moving images, like you can tell wonders with those tools and your story. The moving images don't even have to be about your model. So don't think, oh, I have to render animation in Lumion or Twinmotion. No, your moving images could be just photos of the site, just additional information that you can get out to form a part of your overall presentation. All right, guys? So I just want to highlight that here. Now, the main meat of the matter that we're going to be focused on today is going to be hypermedia. And this is another type of presentation that we don't end up using until maybe we leave CSA, maybe until we leave school. So hypermedia comes from the word hypertext. Another word we can say for it, it means stuff on the internet, right? Which means it's also digital. It also lives on a screen. But there's a difference between a video and a website, right? So for example, another type of presentations that you guys well know already from high school is slideshows, right? That's another type of digital presentation. And chances are you guys have done that many times already. But, Shamario, can you tell me what's the difference between a presentation and a website? So think PowerPoint versus a website. Is Shamario here? He's coming? He's coming? No? No? What about Joel? Is Joel back? Senior? Are you back? No? Not getting it.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Shamara is here. Yeah, man, you made it. So can you tell me what is the difference between
Sam, yes, sir.
yeah, man, what is the difference between a
Yes, sir.
slideshow and a web site? So slideshow, think of PowerPoint. Both of them are on screens.
Yes, sir.
Both of them are digital. But what would you say is the difference between them? A slideshow and a website.
Sir.
Connection?
Yes, sir. Connection is it, sir.
Oh,
What's the
you
difference between slideshow and
a website. If you're having more issues, you can type it. You want to type it?
in here, sir? Sir, Mr. Williams. Can
Yeah,
you
man,
repeat,
you
sir?
can type it. Type it if you're having connection issues. Type it
Yes,
in
sir.
the chat.
Yes, sir. I connect him better now, sir. You were saying, sir?
Right. What do you think is the difference between a slideshow, think PowerPoint, and a website?
Sir,
Both of them, I think of it as in the in our realm of presentation. Both of
yes,
them
sir.
are digital, but one is a website, one is a slideshow. How would you describe the differences?
Sir, one is more dynamic than the other, sir.
All right, so explain dynamic.
Dynamic, sir, in terms of so the website tends to be a little bit more interactive to an extent because what happens is that in my own view, sir, the slide tend to be generic, so it comes with generic factors, and it's not as because I've created a website before, sir, so it's
Okay.
more it's more dynamic in the sense that it can be while the PowerPoint is static, meaning that the settings are everybody know about the settings, and yes, it's you can click on it and you press and pause and so on and so forth. But
Mm-hmm.
the website tend to be a little more dynamic, especially when it comes to animations, right? Things revolving, things moving, and so on is less restricted, and so on. So, in other words, in simple layman terms, sir, the PowerPoint is like in a box, and then the
Mm-hmm.
website now is out of the box, so it has
Okay,
more
cool.
more attributes to it.
All right, cool. I get you. I get you.
Yes, sir.
All right, let me
Probably,
ask. Let me ask. What was that?
probably not the exact answer you probably expected, sir, but
No, no, no. All answers are welcome.
okay, sir.
So let me throw this one out to Gianna, sorry. Um a slideshow and a video in terms of presentation. Both of them is digital. What would you say is the difference?
I think, so the video would have more moving components. I mean, the slideshow, you can animate the
True.
um things that are in it to make it more interesting, but
Mm-hmm.
and for a video, it's like, I'd say for a slideshow, it's you can edit a whole lot more, whereas a video, it's like you're creating a scene, or like you have things set
Mm-hmm.
in a certain way and you're presenting it, instead of where a slideshow is you have different elements that you have to organize, I guess.
Okay, cool. All right. Getting some good opinions here. I'm not going to necessarily say how correct or incorrect or whatever. I'm just, all else answers are welcome. All right. So I'm asking these questions because I want to paint a picture, right? Give me an assignment that you did. Ritual, right? Because I see a lot of you use that for your studio-based um assignment there, yeah, for DDM. So imagine you are presenting your ritual project, right? And in this ritual project, you have, let's say you have a model and you have some plans. You have some floor plans and you have a model, right? Let's say it's a 3D model. Let's keep it digital. So you have a 3D model of your ritual project and you also have some floor plans. Now, in the case of a website, you can put your model in some format on the website. You can put images of your plans. You can put that information on a website. You can also put that information in a slideshow, right? Because it's all digital, doesn't matter, right? And you can put that same information in a video. So here we have three different forms of presentation: website, slideshow, and video. All three of them will communicate your ritual project. It will communicate your plans, and it will communicate your model, right? All three of them can even take video or images and text. So I'm painting this picture that you see, guys, that there are different types of digital presentation, and they all have different purposes, advantages, and disadvantages, right? So one of the first questions that I threw out was the whole thing of websites, and the word dynamic gets thrown around. So I would say that some of your answer, Shamario, does hit home, right? I would describe websites as having agency. You can choose where you navigate in your project. So for example, if your ritual presentation is on a website, the user, your audience, can choose to view the floor plan, view the model, view images in whatever order they want, right? So that is one of the advantages of a website, or one of the features. The other feature of a website is that it is online, right? And let me ask somebody else. I'm going to throw this one out. It being online, what does that mean, guys? Give me an advantage of it being online.
So once you have the URL, you can find it.
Exactly. That means it can be accessed anywhere, from Jamaica to China to Tokyo, right? So that's another feature of a website. And those are features that are not necessarily featured with the other two types of presentations, right? Because we're talking about slideshows, and we're also talking about videos, right? Now, let me go over to the slideshow part now. Why use a slideshow? The thing about slideshow is that a slideshow offers a guided experience. So the website, the use case of the website is the user chooses what to do. So you don't necessarily have control over what the user choose to view first with your ritual project. They can go to the floor plan, they can go to the model, and all of that. Now with a slideshow, it is meant to be a guided kind of process. So slideshow normally have a slide and you talk. I mean, whether it's voice or you're presenting in person, and the first slide comes up and you're like, well, this is a ritual project. It's located here. This is the orientation. And then you go to the next slide and it talks about, I don't know, the space and how it's laid out. But you are providing a guided experience of the project. So that is a feature of a slideshow. That is a feature that doesn't exist for a website. All right. Now, the third type is going to be a video. And the video might seem like the one with the least control, right? Like you press play and the video plays. It's not guided like a slideshow where, you talk and then you progress the slide. And it's not, let me use back Shamario word, dynamic, right? It's not dynamic like the website. It doesn't give the user the ability to, okay, I'm going to start in the middle of the video, then I'm going to start at the beginning, then I'm going to the beginning, then I go to the end. I mean, yes, you can scrub the video and all of that, but I'm talking about the typical use case, right? Okay, guys, a video, you press play, the video plays. What is the advantage of that? I can give you guys the best example. Think about when there is a new movie out. What do people show you to promote their movie? What is it called? Who can tell me first?
Trailer.
A trailer, exactly. And a trailer is, I don't know, a minute, 30 seconds of things that you watch where you have no control. Like you press play and you play it. Now, I can speak for myself that everybody likes different things, but a trailer is supposed to bring the hype train, right? It makes you get hyped for the video. It's not a guided experience. You press play and the trailer go from beginning to end, and it normally ends on some kind of high note that make you say, yo, I need to watch that movie, or I need to play that game, or I need to buy that equipment, because a trailer can be of anything, right? Doesn't have to be of a movie. But if you ever notice, we watch a trailer, it's very specific. Like if you listen to the music of the trailer and watch what is happening on the screen, they are like in sync. You know what I mean? So you hear like it's building. Tana, 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 tana. You know what I mean? And there's an explosion and there's all kind of things happening. And that is going along with the music. So what that means that it is a curated experience for you to experience all at once in a particular order at a particular pace. And if those things are done, then the result of that video is that in the trailer you get excited. So the video presentation is meant to give you that experience where you watch it from beginning to end. It's not meant for you to pause it. Like if you're watching a trailer and you just pause it, it kind of kills the hype. It kills the excitement, right? The idea of a video is that you watch it from beginning to end, and that experience is curated to run from beginning to end without pause, right? So that is a feature of a video presentation. The slideshow doesn't have that because the slideshow is meant for you to pause, talk about this thing, sometimes even ask questions. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room to be a bit dynamic. The website doesn't give you that because you choose where you should go, right? It gives you agency. The video is the only one that gives you a controlled experience in a controlled amount of time. And that is usually used to evoke some kind of emotion, right? Now, so these are three different types of digital presentations, right? And the idea is that you guys are supposed to be picking and choosing between these types. All right. This is about how you present the work that you have created. Because remember, guys, architecture, CSA is all about presenting. When you work so hard for many, many sleepless nights to design your project, and the content that you design, you might have photos, videos, a physical model, you have all of this content. You need to put it together to present it, right? I don't know if anybody ever been in the bad experience of doing all the work, but you couldn't get to print it. Anybody? You couldn't get to print it, even though you do the work. Nobody experienced that?
Nope. Hope I never.
Exactly. That's a good thing. Because all that work. So the way that your presentation method is how you present the work that you have toiled on. And you have different ways to present. You have the digital and you have the analog. We gave an example of the analog. For digital, we have those three types. And most times we choose kind of I would say 99% of while you're in CSA, you're doing a slideshow. You're doing a kind of half analog and slideshow. It's just that you're not doing the slideshow in PowerPoint, you're doing it on printed sheets. That's sometimes in PowerPoint too. Would you guys agree? Most of the method that you use in CSA is the slideshow, right? Your sheets that you print and pin up still count as a slideshow, kind of. right? So I want to introduce you to those two types, video and website. Now, for your final project, we're going to be focusing on website, right? So that's where I'm leading into, right? Now, um, just some background about a website. Most of us, all of us are on the internet. We know what a website is, but I need you guys to understand some of the background behind it, right? Um, a website has what's called a URL, Uniform Resource Locator, and a URL is broke up into different categories, right? And every website that you go on, you always notice you see the HTTP or HTTPS, right? Which is called the protocol. And protocol is just a set of rules, right? That you have to use. But before I even get into that, if I should ask anybody what is the internet, that's it sounds like one of those questions like, what do you mean, what is the internet? The internet is Raheem, what is the internet?
Sorry, can you repeat what you said?
What is the internet?
That's something that I've never really thought about. But,
I know,
but I
right?
guess, yeah, we just use it every day, but we just never really thought about the meaning.
Exactly.
I guess the internet is a connectivity tool used to gather information, share it as well,
Okay.
of
Cool.
course, I guess.
Cool. Cool. What about Gabriel? What is it an office that's located somewhere? Gabriel, what do you think it is?
Sir, I don't think it's an office.
Hmm.
I would say it's like this big global computer that connects everyone in a way, and we
Okay.
rely on it for information and certain communication facilities and stuff.
Cool. So like a big computer that's, well, it has to be located somewhere if it's a computer, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. All right. Um, but Levy, we hear of the cloud and internet used in tandem. I mean, is
So,
it up in the air
I would say
or what do you
it's the
think?
intangible environment that all these devices interlink together create that we
Hmm.
can somewhat interact on or interact with.
So it is what was it? What the word you used first?
Intangible, we can't actually touch the cloud.
Oh, okay, actually touch it. Okay, right, right, right. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to touch on, because when you talk about this type of presentation, right? A website, it has its quote unquote application. When we talk about slideshow, it has to be running PowerPoint, sorry, Google Slides. In the case of printing, it has to be printed on paper. Right? That is the platform that slideshows use. And same thing for video. If it's a video we're talking about, okay, is it media player that's playing the video or whatever? So it has to run on something. So going back to the internet, if we're going to talk about it, we have to talk about what it is. Now, all that the internet is, it is a piece of wire that runs all over the world. Well, it doesn't exist in the air, which you kind of figure already, but it's also not a computer either. It's not an office that exists like the headquarters of the internet, and everybody like the UN or whatever, everybody has to um I don't know, sign up or enter this office to have a website. Um the internet is what you call decentralized, right? It's a decentralized platform. So what that means is that it's not a computer or an office or a place. The internet is a wire. literally. If you were to answer that question, what is the internet? It's a wire. And when I say a wire, you say, what do you mean a wire? I mean I mean like a piece of wire, like a wire. The only difference is this wire, which actually exists, is a physical wire that runs underground, under the sea, under the whatever, right? Up on the light post, it's a wire that different computers connect to. And the different computers, literally, that connects to that wire, that plugs into that wire, all conglomerately is known as the internet. So the internet isn't a website, or it isn't owned by, I don't know, Microsoft or Nvidia, or I don't know, Cable and Wireless or Digicel or whatever. It's literally a wire that runs globally throughout the world, and we all connect to that wire. And you want to hear something even more funny? Connecting to that wire is free. I know what I'm saying. Um, free with an asterisk, right? Because you might be saying, what do you mean free, sir? I mean, I have to pay for my internet connection or whatever. So yes, literally, it is a wire that runs all over the world. And usually what happens is a company connects to that wire, and then they charge you to connect to them. Who connects to the wire? They don't pay to connect to the wire, by the way, guys, right? What they have to pay for is they have to pay for their piece of wire that connects to the main wire. You get what I'm saying? So that's literally what it is. It's not a place that or thing that exists. So what happens is that the company the entity that connects to the wire. Hold on, I have to change my camera. My poor camera is overheating. Hold on. All right, I'm back. All right. You guys hearing me okay? Yes, yes. Okay, I'm back. Right. All right. So the company that connects to this wire, I mean, they spend millions of dollars to run their wire to connect to the main wire. And that main wire is literally somewhere, wherever. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere. And it literally runs under the sea. And let's say there is a wire that, let's say that there is a company that say, hey, I'm going to connect a wire from Florida to Cuba, right? And a company in Jamaica, Digicel, will say, all right, hold on. All right, I'm going to run my wire to connect to that wire over there. And then work out some kind of deal. All right, like when I run the wire here, pay me X amount because I have to pay to run this wire. And then work out that now have nothing to do with the customers. So when Digicel runs their wire, come into Jamaica now, they put up an office there, and they say, hey, if you guys want to connect to the wire, you're going to pay us some money a month time to connect to the wire, right? And that's simply what it is. Now multiply that by the entire world and different entities or whatever. That's what you mean by decentralized. There is no government entity that can say, we're going to switch off the internet because whatever. I mean, the government of Jamaica could go with a big scissors and cut the wire that runs to Jamaica, and then nobody would have internet. But there's no person that controls that wire. Everybody just extends the wire to their location. Like, think about extension plug. You just daisy chain it to your location, and then you sell people the access rights to connect to the wire. So that's a very basic layman's example of what it is. Now, the when you connect to that wire, you're going to communicate using a set of rules, and that is what is called the protocol, right? Now, then you have what you call the domain name, and this is the part that exists somewhere. So what the domain name is, like brianwilliams.com, that is a domain name, right? And you have to pay for that. Domain name is kind of like a phone number, right? And think of how phone numbers work. You pay Digicel or Flow in order to have a phone number, and they keep a record of that number in their system, right? And they can choose whether or not to, keep the number or throw it out, right? So anybody know what's an example of how you can lose your number? Anybody?
So if you do top up for like 3 months or 6 months.
Right, you lose the number. Now, people from other countries can call you, and you can call people to other countries. So the entity that you give your number to, they have to register the number in their database, so that when another database tries to connect to their database, it recognizes, oh, this is your number and this number connects to Levy. Now, the same thing is with URL. It's like a phone number. Yeah, Levy. Yourself?
Yes, sir. So where the area codes are concerned, is that a thing where the government, you know, you know, can put in stone, so to speak, or is it a case where another company can just come in and just have area code 2222?
Well, that's a
How
good
is it?
question. Now, from my knowledge, the area code is kind of like, I want to say, an agreement, because all of these companies that do telecom, they have to agree that Jamaica area code is 876. And you have bodies that are out there that are international standards. So for example, your USB port that you use, right? USB Type-C, HDMI, those are used all over the world, right? But there is a body that determines what is a USB, because it meets these protocols or whatever. And it's the same kind of thing for numbers. I don't remember the name of that body, right? But there is an agreement that you are 876, you are 919, and so forth, right? So it's like those rules are made up between each other, right? And the thing is, going back to URLs, there are companies that exist where you register a name, a URL name, a brianwilliams.com, and that company that you register the URL to, it allows anybody who is plugged into that wire to access that URL. Now, that URL exists somewhere, unlike the internet that is just everything. That URL exists in an office, well, no, on a computer that's sitting somewhere in some office that stores that URL somewhere. And this is why you pay for a URL, right? Unlike the internet where, arguably Digicel is connecting to the internet and then charging you to connect to it, but the URL has to be sitting on a computer somewhere that has to be on 24/7, so that anybody who is on that wire can connect to that URL, right? And only, just like a phone number, only you will have that URL, right? Then the other numbers the other categories that come after is the folder name. So the URL takes you to the location, and then on that computer, there are folders that contain the other informations of your website. That's why I say it exists somewhere. Cool. If a fire happens and damages that computer, then you have no website. Your website is gone. It exists somewhere. All
Sure.
right. Yeah. Question.
Yes, sir. I would think maybe not in an office, sir. It
Well,
has to be something that's really 24/7. So I wonder if it's like somewhere deep in the ocean where the ocean is the cooling feature.
no, and when I say the word office, I don't mean like it's like, in my office now where I have a computer sitting down. It's in a data center, and quote unquote office. And that office exists somewhere and it's on 24/7. So when I say office, it's kind of like an analogy for just somewhere physical. That's what I want to get to. So it's just for us to understand that the internet is just everybody plugging into a wire. It doesn't exist somewhere physical, and if that place blow up or go away, the internet is gone. That's not how it works. It's just a wire that everybody plugs into. But your website exists somewhere in a location, in an office, on a computer, and if that goes away, then your website goes away. So all of the websites that exist in the entire world are sitting on a computer that is on 24/7 and is plugged into that wire. So that is just a
Deep
little
in the ocean.
geek say again?
That's the deep in the ocean.
Not deep in the ocean. The wire runs in the ocean. But the computer that is sitting somewhere with your website on it, chances are that is like in a data center, in a location with many computers that are on. And those are, I mean, I guess I don't know if data centers exist under the ocean yet. They do exist. They do have to keep cool, but the wires are what exists mainly under the ocean because that's literally how you connect one country to the other country by literally running a piece of wires. I mean, it's a chunky piece of wire, but it's not like a little piece of, extension cord, but it is still a wire. Anyway, so that's just a quick kind of geek out of what the internet is. And where am I? Whoops. What we're going to do for our final project is where is no, I have to give the disclaimer that for the purpose of this presentation, a lot of things were simplified, right? So when I say a piece of wire, I mean it's a big, thick piece of wire. When I say in an office, I mean it's probably a data center, right? And who knows what happens when Digicel connects to that wire? I don't know the ins and outs of it, right? So there are other nuances to my explanation, but I just gave a quick just overall, so at least you know what it is. Now, we're going to be creating a website for our final project. That website would need to have a URL. And if you remember what I tell you, a URL is like a phone number. You have to pay a company in order to have that number. So anybody who calls that number can access your website. However, there are many URLs that are free, and it's free because it's not custom. So for example, if you go to brianwilliams.com, that's custom, and I have to pay for that. But when we create our website, we're going to get a URL, so meaning the website will exist online. Anybody can go to it, but it's not going to have the name that you want. And that is what people pay the money for, the name, because that is what gets popular. You know what I mean? So in order to create a website, which is a type of digital presentation, we're going to use Wix. There are many website creators out there. They are like website builders, like how there are car brands, right? There are quite a few of them that exist. And well, everyone here knows what a website is. There are millions of websites, millions, right? So, and all of these websites have their own URLs and they exist on a computer that is plugged into this wire, right? That's what we spoke about. Now we are going to create websites to add to this existing barrage of websites. We're going to create it for ourselves, and we're going to create it as the final in our final project. So one of the things we're going to do today is that we're going to sign up for one of these website builders, right? And it is something really simple to do. And the reason that we're doing it comes back to presentation. I want to show you every year I get to show this. Hold on. Somebody sent me a link. Come on, where is it? Right. Cool. All right. So a past student, here we go. This one is for Matthew Prague. Anybody knows that person? Anybody? No? No? I mean, recently graduated, so maybe the gap is too far. But when you leave CSA, chances are, we live and die by our portfolios. And chances are you're not going to have a physical portfolio because most places of employment you'd more likely have a digital portfolio, right? So we come back to this presentation thing. You will have a way of presenting all of your work. Now, if you're about to go into an interview for a job or whatever, you're going to choose a presentation style. You have website, you have slide presentation, and you have video presentation, right? So there are so for example, if you are in the 3D artist industry, your presentation medium will be video. They live and die by their show reel. Have you ever heard the term show reel? Anybody? Maybe? Anybody ever heard show reel?
I know, sir.
Right. So we're not in that industry. We're in the architecture industry. So we know the word portfolio, right? Because that is what we live and die by. There are other industries that exist that rely on different types of presentation mediums, right? And when you guys are looking for a job, chances are when you need to show me your work, you're going to have some kind of digital means of showing it. For some people, maybe it's a slideshow. Who knows? Some people might even have a video. But what I recommend is that you have a website. So for example, this is Matthew's presentation here, right? Can I go full screen? Yes. And which type of presentation would you regard this as? Anybody? Of the three types that I represented today, which
So I see the main image and the grid one.
say again?
Oh, you mean from today?
Yeah, from today. Those three types of
Slideshow?
presentation: website, slideshow, video. Which one?
Slideshow.
Right, it's a slideshow. Yes, it's in the form of a book, but the style of it is a slideshow. Now, where does it exist? It exists on Issuu. It exists, on the internet. But would you describe this as a website? Anybody?
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Is it?
Just
Okay,
not
so
just
Ryan
not
say
on
yes.
the main.
What was that, Ryan?
I mean,
No,
it's
I
on
just
a
said
website.
that this is like his son, his domain, personal domain.
True, you don't have a personal domain, but personal domain aside, the way that you interact with this portfolio, would you describe it as, it's on the internet? It's not a
Yes, sir.
video, because we know it's not a video, but would you describe it more of a slideshow or a website?
The websites are both. If you have the URL, you can find the video. Find this.
Right, right. So you're saying it's kind of both, right?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Carla, what do you think?
I didn't hear the question.
would you consider this portfolio, right? What medium, what type of digital presentation is it? Is it a video, a slideshow, or a website?
I'm thinking slideshow.
Okay, all right. Remember, it exists,
Sure.
it exists on the internet.
So I would say the
Yeah.
approach ties to the
Mhm.
website, however, the engagement is in the form of a slideshow.
I like that explanation. Because the true answer is yes, it is a little bit of both, but the way that it is presented, it is a slideshow. And this is what I'm trying to say, guys, is that this is not a website. Like the way that this is presented is not a website. Now, on the other hand, um, I can show you. Oh, cool. I just want something. Hold on. Okay, so here we go again. So this is another past CSA student, right? I'm gonna put this, can I do side by side, maybe? So this is also a portfolio, but I can't do full screen side by side. Oh well. So this is also a portfolio of Craig Linton, right? This is also, so both of them, the objective is the same thing. Hey, I've been called to an interview that say carry your portfolio or give me a link to your portfolio. One person sends this and the other person sends this. Now, this one here on the right, oops, here on the right, oops, here on the right, yeah. Who I don't hear from yet? Tara, are you here, Tara?
Hi, sir.
Right. So, of the three types of presentations, what would this one be?
A website.
Website, right. You wouldn't even describe it as a slideshow, right?
Yeah.
But what about here?
That would be a slideshow.
True, true. But what about where is it? Where is it? What about here? So right, here we go. So this is also can I mute this?
Like a presentation.
So right, so it's also a video. Now, what I'm trying to get at here is that the power of a website is that it can be all three, right?
Okay.
And this is why this is something that you guys must learn, because a website can be a slideshow, it can be a video, and the website have a third one that it was Shamario's word. It was in dynamic, right? That was the word he used. So, I can look at the portfolio or I can choose to look at the video, but then, some things are dynamic like this here. I control how I view this thing. It's not in a particular order, but the website can host other presentation mediums. Now, this is the difference now. So if I have a slideshow, a slideshow can host a video, right? So you could have a PowerPoint presentation, and on that PowerPoint, you have a video on it. But the slideshow can't host a website. You get where I'm going with this, guys? And then if you go to the last one, a video, A video cannot, I mean, you could have a video maybe with a slideshow, like the video is just a bunch of pictures, kind of going, which you don't really have control over. So website is like the ultimate form of a presentation, and you guys need to learn to know how to do it because the website can house everything. And when you guys have your portfolio, when you leave school or whatever, and you need to go out there and show your work, I mean, yes, you can have a slideshow-esque presentation that is on the web, and that is fine. But you can do so much more when you have a website because you control the narrative with a website. It can be anything you want it to be, right? I know I showed you guys this already, but so for example, my portfolio is also a website, right? It's kind of different, but then, it has, as a matter of fact, it has a show reel that's here. And a show reel isn't really something that we use in architecture. It's in a different industry. But why not? Right? And it has these different areas. I can choose to go to the resume, I can choose to go to about me and archives and all of these things. I can choose where I want to go and what I want to show, right? So this is why a website is so powerful for you guys to learn how to do. And ultimately, I think that's the best portfolio that you can have it as a website so that it can be way more powerful rather than it just being a slideshow. All right. All right. So we are going to be using Wix today. I created my website using Wix. I mean, there's nothing really special about this site. It's very basic. I don't remember which one Craig used, but it wasn't Wix. He used something else. But the point is that just like how you have Photoshop to do graphics, website builders has their own tool that you use in a browser. Just like how you use Google Sheets or Google Docs, you'd use it just the same, right? All right, guys. So, how am I doing on time? Yeah, man, time is good. We're doing good on time. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a look on the final project. I haven't enabled it yet on the website. I will do it shortly. All right. So for our website, for our final project, where are you? Here we go. There we go. All right. Good, good, good. All right, guys. So this is it. For your final project, we are going to create a website. We're going to design and publish a personal architectural portfolio using Wix website builder. So we're only using Wix, guys. There are many website builders out there, but we're just going to use Wix. This website should present your identity as a designer and showcase the work that you have developed at CSA. Now, for the website, there are three main things we're going to build, right? We're going to have a landing page, meaning when you type your URL, and it comes up, bam, your landing page. Very similar to what comes up when, so for example, I showed you Craig Linton website. When you go to craiglinton.com, this is what comes up. This is the landing page. And you see it have about me, portfolio, and whatever. When you go to Brian Williams, this is the landing page. So the landing page is what you see first when you type the URL, right? So we're going to create a landing page. The landing page will have a hybrid image. Remember we spoke about that last class? So the project that you did for assignment 1, you're going to use the model from assignment 1, and you're going to create a hybrid image from that, right? And we did a whole class on hybrid images. Remember, the video is there. We built one in class together, right? So you guys can look back on that video. You're going to create your own hybrid image. So when you go to your website, bam, that's the first thing that comes up. Is going to be a hybrid image of the model that you did, right? On that landing page, you're also going to have a slogan, something, a one sentence that describes who you are, right? So Carla, a world-class designer in landscape architecture. Right, Carla?
Yes, sir.
Right. You have a simple slogan, something like that. You need to have an about page and all the about page will have is a profile image. You can make it stylized. You can, make it all, it has to be of you, right? Right? But you can do whatever creative things you want to do to it. And you want to include a very short bio. Maybe 120 words, like not a novel, guys. Just something very short and to the point. And of course, you're going to include your contact information. The third part of this, the main part, is going to be the projects that you've worked on. So you're going to decide how you're going to structure your projects. So what do I mean by that? If I showed you this example here. So for example, I structured my thing in ArchViz and BIM, and then BIM had some subcategories, Revit, ArchiCAD, terrain stuff. This is how I structured my projects. Craig, on the other hand, he had a thing, he had portfolio, and then he had architectural visualizations, building information modeling, aerial photography, media, and editing. That is how he structured his, right? So there are different ways how you can structure your work. So I'm requiring 2 categories. One is architectural computing. That's what we're doing in DDM. And you're going to do it in terms of software. So Photoshop, Illustrator. So you're going to show me, for example, an example of a work that was done in Photoshop, in Illustrator, in SketchUp, or a combination of the 2, whatever. But that's the way that you're going to structure it. And then for Design Studio, you're going to structure it by the title of the project. Now, all I need is an image. You already have the images, guys. And I want to tell you that you guys are pioneers because this year, we have actually modified this assignment, shaving off at least 50% of the work. So you're not, previously this involves you creating a model. And I think I told you guys this already. So you're not going to create a model. All you're doing is using content that you already have and organizing them together in a presentation, right? This final project is about presentation, right? In particularly website presentation. So that's what you're going to do. And these are the 3 main categories you're going to have. So for example, again, if I go back to my website here, or Craig website here, he had these 3 headings. For me, I had multiple headings, right? But this is how I chose to have it. I chose to have a archive. So if you go to About Me, so that's a picture there. This is some text, and I chose to have this diagram here showing my career journey. Then I also had an archive section which showed just a bunch of other works that I did, but it didn't fall under these categories. So there is no rule as to how you you can do that. So all I ask is that I just need two categories, one for computing, one for design studio. All right, any questions so far, guys? Do we understand what we're doing?
Yes, sir.
All right. Leave, you understand? And your
Yes, sir.
thumbs up. All right, cool. Another cool thing, you can use AI to help, right? So it's like maybe I might be sounding contradictory, like saying, "Oh, make sure you don't use AI to." No, no, no. Please use AI, right? Me, the lecturer, is begging you guys, right? So, so for example, when you're writing your profile, right? Obviously, the AI can't write your profile. You have to write it and use it to help you to make it be good. Now, because you're using AI, I expect it to be good. That means if it's bad, I'm going to even mark you harder because you have the help, right, guys? Now, what you cannot use AI to do is to do your hybrid image. That you have to do by yourself. You have to, we spoke about this last class. We're not going to go into it again, but I gave you like some tips that you can do when you're creating your hybrid image. We talk about coming up with a concept and playing around with it, and I gave you guys an example of what that is like. So I expect you guys to follow the same kind of trajectory when you're creating your image, right? But definitely use AI to help you to, let's say you have photos of your model that you want to use for one of your studio category, and you need to cut it out of the background, make AI cut it out for you. You need to write your bio, you write it and you say, boy, I wish it would sound nicer. Make AI help you to write it. You understand what I mean, guys? Your website builder, Wix, has AI tools built in. Use it to help you. Like you have some tools that say, I can pick a layout that fits this picture, or I can pick a color that matches with this thing. Use it to help you. However, you are going to include how the AI helped you, right? That should be a part of your about page. So ChatGPT was used in assisting with writing the bio, or Wix AI was used in assistant with creating the whatever, right? So you would put those disclaimers on the about page. No problem with that, guys, right? AI is a tool that we all have to learn how to use, or else we will be solely left behind, for sure. So this is hopefully an kind of introduction to that. And if you are fans, I do it again in fourth year, but we use AI a little bit more advanced, further down in computing. All right, guys, any questions so far? Everybody understand? All right. Yes,
Yes.
okay. Good, good, good. So we're using Wix. We have to use Wix, so no other website builders. And Wix is pretty easy, guys. It's like anybody use Instagram, they have to post pictures. It's just like creating a profile somewhere. It's easy. I put a little tutorial there of every year I put one that, cause we still, I mean, this assignment in the past always involved creating a website. It's just that we don't have to create a model anymore. So I always put a tutorial that I think is a really good one for learning how to use Wix. So you can check that out. But the internet is flooded. There's a flood of just too much tutorials how to do it. So as I said, guys, it's really basic. And I'm going to probably show you the first part of it in class. Grading criteria. So I'm going to be looking on the hybrid image. You know, how the website looks, the colors, how it match, that kind of stuff. I'm going to be looking on the quality of the wording. Each of your projects needs a small description, right? So you're going to write up that description, right? And what is the structure? Is it easy to understand? How did you lay out the different categories for your portfolio? That kind of thing. So those are the main categories, guys. Well, yeah, that's the submit button there. So when this goes on the website, that's where you click to submit the work. All right. Okay, guys. So that will be the final project. I think it's, I'm proud of the fact that it's gotten easier this year. And you know what? If it's one good thing that came from Melissa, I think I want to keep this format for the years going forward. Because we're trying to make the computing courses be easier rather than more difficult. So you guys are the pioneers of the easy version of the final project. Anybody in second year will look on you and say, oh, you lucky bastards, you didn't have to build that final model, right? All right, guys. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about websites, right? So we already know what a URL is, and we have a little background of how the internet works. Now, a website, any website that exists, have what you call the front stage and the back stage. The more, I would say, more technically adept word for it is back end and front end. The front end is what you see when you go to the URL, right? The back end is what you do as the website creator, right? So that is what they are. So for example, even let's see. So my website here, here. Too many tabs, maybe too many tabs. Where is it? This one? Okay, good. Right. Go back home. Right. So this is the front end of my website, right? And there we go. And this is the back end. Oops, that's gotta go to, where is it hidden? Oh, it's hidden over here. Okay, hold on. I gotta maximize it. Edit. Yeah, there we go. Right. It's loading, guys. This is the back end of the website. So this is what you see when you go to brianwilliams.com. And if I want to edit something, this is the back end. And notice how this kind of feels like Google Sheets or maybe something like that, where I can go in, I can edit the name, I can edit this picture, I can move this button around, I can put it down here, right? I'm not going to do that. I can change my social bars. Then there are other pages. So for example, I have that Rivet page that is here. Well, this is kind of boring. It's just one page. About me. Okay, so the About Me page, I have a photo here. I can edit the photo. I can change the text. This was a diagram I loaded here. So this is what is the back end, and the front end, About Me, is what you see here. Now, of course, you cannot edit the front end, but you can edit the back end. And that is essentially the two parts of a website. So when you guys create this website, you're going to be creating stuff in the back end. And then the front end is where you go to access what it looks like. And that is what you'll be submitting to me. I don't need to see the back end. You just need to give me the URL for the front end. All right, guys. Any questions? Everybody understand this so far?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Now, to have any website, there are three things you have to have. The URL, which we spoke about, that's like the telephone number, so it knows which website to go to. You're going to get one free with Wix, but if you want something that says, you know, Gianna.com, well, that might be taken already. So maybe you'd have to be like GiannaJM.com, right? You will have to pay for that. The next thing you need for a website is interface. You need something to design the user interface. So for example, there are some websites that are designed in Photoshop because that was the tool that was used to design the buttons and whatever. For us, we're going to be designing using Wix Website Builder. So Wix Website Builder is almost like you're using Google Slides. It's a very basic editor. It makes you edit text, choose pictures, stuff like that. So you need something to create the website graphics. And the third thing that you need is you need somewhere to store the website. So remember that we spoke about what the internet is, and we spoke about what a website is, what a URL is. So it's sitting on a computer somewhere in an office or in a data center. So when you create a website, all of that information has to be stored on a computer that is on 24/7. So you need somewhere to store it. Can I tell you guys a secret? You guys can create a website, store it on your computer or laptop, and it's free. But what does that mean? That laptop would have to be on 24/7. Well, you wouldn't have a URL though. That's the difference. Because no matter what, you still have to pay an entity to have a, let's call it a telephone number to go to that computer. So usually, yes, Ryan, question?
Yes, sir. I was just wondering for Wix, is it a subscription that I would have to use, or is it just a one-time payment?
Well, it varies. Regardless of whatever system you're using, these three things you have to have when you have a website. So for example, a company might charge you a subscription in order to host all your website files. Another company might charge you a subscription in order to use an interface to build something. So for example, suppose you're using Adobe Dreamwave, which is an actual product. Adobe Dreamwave is like a Photoshop, but specifically for building websites. So, you know, you would have to pay Adobe whatever, subscription or whatever, to use their interface to build the website. Now, a website builder packages all of this together and you just pay them one money. We're not paying Wix any money, guys, so don't worry. You don't have to pay any money to do this assignment because you're going to be getting you're going to have a free account. But if you wanted to have a website for yourself, these three things you have to have, and most cases, all three of them cost money. You pay to have a URL, you pay for a program to build a website, and you pay somebody to store the website for you so that anybody that's plugged into that internet line can access that website. Most modern website builders, they just couple all of this to you and you pay one money. So for example, and then of course you have different tiers and yeah. Right, but some websites that exist is not built on Wix. It could be a guy that used Photoshop, built all of his web pages, then went to another company that posts pages and say, hey, I have my website built on my computer in my documents. I'm going to upload it to your service. And then I want to pay another company for a URL. Of course, that's the expensive way to go about it, but yeah. So does everyone understand hopefully a little bit more how our website is, well, what the internet
Yes, sir.
is. Yeah, we know what the
Yes, sir.
internet is, and we know how our website operates, at least
Sir,
very basic terms. Yeah.
sir, can I say something, sir?
Yeah, man, sure.
Yeah, when I was in grade 11,
Mm-hmm.
you really learn this in IT, but
Mm-hmm.
I was into web design with development, so I went to Figma and Webflow to try to learn how to make one.
Mm-hmm.
I got the knowledge there, but I didn't really do anything big, but I just more things came clear to me then. Do you
Yeah.
know those two ones, Webflow and Figma?
Um, I think I hear Figma before. What is that, is a website builder or what is it?
Okay, so Figma could both of them can get the job done, but it's a Figma specializes more to like the beautification part of it.
Right.
I don't know if that's the case, no, but then to me it was. Webflow
Okay.
now is like Google Sites times 15.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
This world of websites is a big world. I mean, natural. You can imagine. I mean, everything is on the internet, so yeah. There is an endless rabbit hole of just different tools and different capabilities, and you know, we're just kind of scratching the surface so you understand the basics, right? As a matter of fact, when I was in school, we did this in fourth year. Was it fourth year? I don't remember. But of course, we didn't have Wix and all of that, so we had to use Notepad to code it. Anybody here knows Notepad? The Notepad in
Yes,
Windows?
I used to learn that part as well.
Right, and we had to
HTML
do
and
the HTML, and painful times, painful times. No, so we're definitely not doing HTML. Nor do I remember anything with HTML, but um, we're going to be using a website builder to do this. All right. And guess what, guys? My hope is that when you guys leave CSA, each of you have your own website, right? You don't have a slideshow or a video, you have a website, and that website is your portfolio, and that portfolio grows with you, right? When you go to your first job and then you go to your second job, you just go back to the website and update it with all the things you did at the first job. It's the same website, but it just grows because what that creates for you a web presence, right? Um, you know what I mean? So I think that I won't go, I don't want to go too deep. I promise that it's going to be not a long class today. So, websites. So those are the three things um and how our website operates. All right. So, all right. Now, where is this thing here? Ta-da-ta-da. See if we can go through this. How long is the oops. All right, guys. Now, this has probably changed. One of the first things that you guys are going to do is you're going to jump onto Wix. Just type wix.com. And well, for me, I can choose login because I have a login. You can choose get started, and you're going to sign up. You can use your email or whatever you want to use. All right, guys. Now, the idea is that you guys are already designers. You don't need me telling you what colors go together and stuff like that. The website builder tool is very straightforward. So after you create an account, you're going to be able to choose a template. And I think I've run out of emails to create account with because I do this every year. So I am gonna choose sign up. I'm gonna use an email address. Hmm. Hmm. All right. So I'm not gonna make an account because I have too much accounts. I can't even think of an email to use, and I really don't want to create a new email to do this, right? So what's going to happen is that after you create that email, you're going to get presented with this. And of course, AI is in everything, guys. So right away, you can either use AI and you can talk about the kind of website you want to make, blah, 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 and it will do a thing. Really and truly, Wix is so easy that I don't even know. Well, I haven't tested that yet, but I just think it's so easy that because you can choose from templates. So I'm not going to use the AI. I'm going to say set up without chat. Now, you guys can use the AI thing if you want. You can always edit it later. All right. All right. So it's going to ask you what is the website about, things like that. You can have all of this stuff created already. I'm going to choose skip. What do you want to call your site? Now, what happened is that it's going to be called something like Wix site slash whatever you name it here slash something.com, right? So it's going to be a custom URL. So I'm going to call this DDM 2026. Goals for the site. I want to say a portfolio. I'm going to say, but this is, let me skip this. I can skip that. All right, all right. Add apps. Now, what these are all, think about this like apps bring additional functionality to your website. So, for example, let's say on my website here, right? Suppose I needed, let's say a form that when you read about me, it collects information like contact me. Or let's say, so you have different features that are on different websites. I can actually use CSA website as an example, right? The website that you're using now, this was also a website that I created a couple years ago. So for example, right, I'm gonna have to sign in. So we will use this version. Login Google. There we go. Right. So this one, for example, this one shows all of the places visited by CSA study tour, the different islands. It also gives like what are the different locations we went to, you know, we went to USA 11 times, Cuba 6 times, pretty cool. And then you can filter between them. This was a nice little project that I tackled a couple years ago. But this is an example of an app that you can add to the website. So when Wix is asking you what apps you want to add, so suppose you want to sell stuff, then you would add a store app. So we're not going to add any apps, so we're going to skip that. Every year this changes, so this is new to me. Da-da-da. All right. Well, this looks a little all right. So if it carries you here, then you're going to go to design your site, right? So this is a part of the backend. Remember, we spoke about the backend and the front end. So this is a part of the backend. So how this works is that Wix itself is like a platform. Think of it like your Google account. And your Google account has Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Drives. So the account that I make here is my account, and then I have different websites in my account. So when I go into the DDM 2026 website, right, this is giving me information just about DDM 2026. So for example, I mean, it's not doing anything with sales and all of that stuff and customers and all of that. But all of this information is just stuff having to do with DDM 2026. So I would go to design my site, and then it's going to ask me, okay, do you want to design your website? Do you want to design it with AI or from a template? I'm going to choose from a template. And then it's going to present me with different templates. So these are all pre-made kind of websites. And what I can do, this is showing me all templates now, so I can go to, I think portfolio is one of them, but you don't have to go to portfolio. Any one of these templates you can use, guys. Any one of these. The future of mobility is here. This one looks pretty cool. All right, let me go to view. And then it will give me a preview of what this website looks like. So this is asking me if I want to use this template. I'm not going to choose it yet. Let me look at it. So now the template is only as good as its information. So this is just giving you an example of what your website could be. If it was talking about some kind of modern equipment, in this case, a vehicle. So if you were creating a website about this, then it would be good for you to start with this template. But I'm going to go back to templates. Let me look for landing pages. Oh, so these are cool. One pages. No, I don't want to do that. Store creative. So under creative, photography. Okay. Design, architecture. Oh, look at this. All right. So let me choose art and illustration since, it's that kind of portfolio. And then look at all of these templates. So let me choose this one. It's like the first one. Anyway, let me view it. So this starts up with a kind of intro, and then it shows a big picture. This will be perfect for my landing page. Remember, you have to do a landing page. And then it scrolls down. It doesn't scroll. It has the logo here, and then it just goes into work. So when you click work, this is how the template page are displayed. So acrylic and canvas. So these could be like two different categories. One of them could be computing, and one is design studio, I guess. You go into that, and then it shows you the different works. So you can see this is the structure of how this website is. So maybe you look at it, it's like, it's a bit blah, as a starting point. So let me go back. I mean, there are so many. Let me just pick a number at random. Okay, what about this one? Let me go view. So this one is cool. So this one has a little thing to the side where you can just view portfolio, and it have a big picture in the background. This one scrolls dynamically. That's pretty cool. So you see it zooming in and out. So, maybe I would say, okay, so I could have my landing picture here. Maybe this is a picture of me doing something, I don't know. Then I have a little bit of text. So the about me would be here. And then maybe this could be a picture of me doing this. So a lot of these templates, it's supposed to help you to expand your mind as to how can I use the content that I have and it will look similar to this. Scroll down, and then it has a kind of contact page and stuff. All right, so Let me go back. Let me just do one more imaginative illustrations. This one is cool. Oh, this one have a little, the text is cut. Might have these things going across the side. Okay, the about me is like this, projects, and this is how it laid out the projects. Okay, and this is services. Now, one thing I can tell you guys is that when you choose a template, so let me choose this template, for example, then it's going to go into the edit mode, and this is going to be the website backend. Right. Now, what you have to remember is that the reason why this template looks so good is because it has already selected images, the ideal font, the colors in the images, the colors of the text. It has pre-selected all of these things. So if you go in and say, my image that I want to use here is going to be a different color, your website will not look like the template. You understand what I'm saying, guys? All right, are you with me?
No, sir. I don't
Yes,
get what
sir.
you're saying regarding that.
Right. So you might choose a template that look really good, but when you put your pictures in there, it look really crap, right? So you have to kind of, it's not a paste my images in there and website does. The first thing you have to realize is that, oh crap, my image is purple and green. This image is warm tones of yellow. So this image go perfectly with the whole feel of this page. If you come with different colors, you can have a different effect. So if you come with that, if you like the layout of this website, but your images feel totally different, then you might have to look on changing the background, changing the font, that kind of thing. Now, the one warning sign that I can tell you guys that will absolutely let you lose marks is not completing the website. What do I mean by that? I have a category, a criteria that I mark for called website completeness. And what that means is that when people download a template, they don't properly replace the elements of a template. Meaning, you put your picture here, but then down here it say our commitment, community engagement, blah, blah, blah. And that stuff you totally don't use. But the default text is left there. So the website is incomplete. You have to go through all of the templates and customize it for your purpose. That's an important point, guys. So that one I need you guys to understand. Because I've seen people that just come onto the site, they put their pictures in, maybe they change the text down here, and they leave everything else. So it's like a weird hodgepodge of things that belong to them and then generic text. I am a paragraph, edit me now. That is what I'm seeing in your final website. So I should not be seeing any of that when you create your project. You should completely have the website work just for you. All right. Now, I'm not going to go into how to use Wix because you guys can do that on your own. All I'm going to do is you guys have a link. I give you guys a link to learn how to use it. It is super simple to use. Everything else works just like using Google Docs, right? If you click on something, you can edit it. These are different sections. If I choose this template, then the best thing to do is to work with the sections that they have, but change it out to your information, your photograph, right? Your work. When you're done, you need to hit publish, and then you're going to get a URL. I can't tell you how important this part is. You have to send me the publish URL. There are people that copy the link up here and submit it. No, I cannot mark your work if you don't give me the URL. That's extremely important, guys. You have to send me the publish URL or else I can't mark your work. Remember, 40%, right? So when you hit publish, it's going to give you get a free Wix domain. So it's going to be HTTP Creative Masters JM, that's my account, .wix.com/DDM 2026, because that's the name that I named the site. And that URL works, guys. Like, so that URL will you can give it to anybody in the world and it will work. So for example, I have some URLs here that are not published. So for example, this URL, can I go there? Right. What will happen when you go to a URL that you don't purchase, you'll get this banner at the top that says this website was built by Wix, but everything else on the website still operates like normal. So you can actually use this and build out your own personal website and for free, and you get a little banner at the top, but you can pay 150 US per year and it becomes online. All right. I think that's the amount last time I checked. All right. I don't work for Wix, so I'm not encouraging you to purchase anything. Disclaimer. All right, guys. That is the end. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right, so everybody understand. All right, great. So what we'll do is this is your last task for DDM, right? When you go to the website, let me go to the website here. I will make it available right now. I don't think you can click on it. Computing design. All right, there we go. Right. So not yet. It's going to be enabled, but this is what you're going to use, and you're going to click this, and you'll get the handout, and that is how you submit the work. Okay, guys. So that is it. This is your final topic. We are going to meet. Our last class will be next week, right? We won't be doing a topic per se next week. I'll be doing a follow-up with the final project, seeing how you guys are doing. All of your work will be marked. We're going to deal with all errors. So if for any reason your ID number isn't there or you submitted a work, but you're not seeing it marked, we're going to deal with that in the next class. So that's important that everyone is there because that's the last time I'll see you. And whatever work I get, I'm just going to put it in the system. All right, guys. So one more class to go, and then that is it for DDM. All right. We usually have a review of the module as well in the last class. We talk a little bit about the course, things you like, things you didn't like, and all of that. So we'll do all that stuff next week in our final class. But that is it for today on presentations, and you have your final project now. Go forth and get the work done. All right, guys?
Yes, sir. No,
Yes, sir.
All right. So, is there any questions from anybody? No? All right. That means everything was good, hopefully. All right. Well, it was I'm a little concerned about the class size today, but as per usual, the recording will be there. Wish you guys all the best, and I'll see you next week. All right.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.
All right. Bye.
All right, sir.